Party and other things. Check the time. It's exactly 16 minutes to the top of the hour. Philipina, what's your problem?
What's his other name? So that's it's.
Okay, let's move on, shall we?
Sako is Kabute.
Oh, you people.
That's your husband's name.
Oh,
Last husband is called Kabute.
Hello, Sadiq. Sadiq is here.
Your husband is called Kabute.
My husband is called Sadiq. Sadiq, what's up?
I'm fine. I'm good.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
We thank God.
I'm fine. Actually, you've got your forehead game right.
Oh yeah, you know I'm the president of the Forehead Nation. You do hear?
No, Uncle Ken is the president. No, but come to
I
think of it.
Uncle Ken's forehead.
No. Come to think of it. I see some resemblance. The forehead.
Between Uncle Ken and I.
Hey. It could be some his niece or somewhere or something.
It's possible. You know Uncle Ken's niece is sapphire white. I could one of them somewhere.
Uncle, you and I have the same forehead.
Uncle Ken is ignoring us.
Oh, Uncle, he can't ignore me.
He's not minding us cry.
He's just thinking, I'm just lucky he didn't say go you. Go you.
Uncle Ken.
Nah.
Hi, Uncle Ken.
Yeah.
How are you?
Charlie, not too good. It's been a fluish week.
What's one?
A fluish week.
Fluish. What's that?
A week full of flu.
Oh, I see. A week full of flu.
Yeah.
A fluish week.
Yeah.
Just like Sadiq has had a money-ish week.
Oh, Lydia is always swimming in money.
Yeah.
Okay, can I beg you?
I'm
My
sorry
phone
about
is buzzing right now. My phone
Are
is
you
buzzing.
feeling better? Are you old people?
Hey, Uncle Ken. Don't say this thing again. I beg you.
Uncle Ken, get well soon.
Thank you.
Would you
Thank
like
you.
some tea?
No, please. Thank you.
Uncle, I can teach you a concoction that will treat it.
Yeah.
Onunum can treat it.
Oh, but
Oh,
Rasta
I
is
miss
not
Rasta
around.
so much.
But you would
Why
have
is
wanted
Rasta?
it.
Yeah.
Rasta,
It works.
He's hanging out with white chicks or white girls in London.
Okay.
He's
Alright.
enjoying.
I hope he took them some.
And he's trading
onunum.
Onunum as well.
Yeah, he took some onunum today. Well, it's great to have you gentlemen on the
Thanks.
show.
Thank
And
you.
may I just say that every week I ask you how you're doing, but you never ask me how I am doing.
We don't.
No, you don't.
Oh,
Because I have something to say, but since you didn't ask, let's get on to
How are you doing?
our discussion for today. So, Uncle Ken and Sadiq, I bet you've heard about the publication, in fact, across board, about the Minister for Communications, Esla Owusu-Kufu. She spoke about soon-to-be laws to criminalize the sharing of inappropriate content on social media. Now, for those of you who haven't heard, I'll read it all to you so that you can also let us know what you think. To reach us, you can call us on WhatsApp us on 0244 340 437. And I'll let you know the phone lines to call when we activate them. All right, so let me read this to you, and I'm reading from graphic.com.gh. The Minister of Communications, Mrs. Esla Owusu-Kufu, has announced that Ghana would soon criminalize the sharing of inappropriate content on social media platforms. Addressing stakeholders on the second day of the National Week celebration of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month 2019 at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in Accra, Mrs. Owusu-Kufu cited sexual images as an example of inappropriate content, adding that all should comply with domestic laws when passed to avoid being penalized. The minister said that there would be sufficient provision in the law to protect children and adolescents from online abuse. She therefore called on the public to be wary of such messages and delete them as soon as they are received to avoid passing them on. Now, this is a quote. The ministry is working with the Attorney General and the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, among others, to come up with a framework on child online development and welfare within the shortest possible time. Mrs. Owusu-Kufu explained that most children have become active users of the internet for learning, for learning purposes, and are unfortunately facing a lot of challenges which affects their human rights, and therefore we need to protect them. She said most laws of Ghana were enacted before child online protection came up. As a result, sufficient laws should be put in place to protect children from being abused on the internet. And this is another quote. Government has increased awareness among children across all regions, and by the end of October, 40 schools would have been reached. She said, adding that cybersecurity policies would be reviewed to meet international standards. The minister also called on corporate bodies to support the government since it's in their collective interest to protect children. On her part, the Second Lady, Hajia Samira Baumia, said a collaborative effort was essential to protect children from online predators. And she quoted UNICEF's research done in 2016. She said that 4 out of 10 children had seen sexual images, and half of the 2,000 children used in the survey expressed online abuse by adults. She therefore called on the government, educators, civil society organizations, international development partners to come up with policies and legislation to protect young users of the internet. Hajia Samira commended the Ministry of Communications for initiating channels whereby victims who feared reporting to the police can report to seek redress. And this is a quote. Parents have to be abreast with the use of the internet in order to guide their children on its usage, since children were knowledgeable, she advised. Madam Afisa Zakaria, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, called for the monitoring of service providers of sex sites to protect children from accessing those sites, stating that the law should soon be enshrined with strict penalties so that sending, retaining and sharing of such content will be punishable by law. The program, which was under the theme Demonstrating Ghana's Cybersecurity Readiness, brought together security agencies, heads of departments, schools, children, and others to discuss child online protection and the development of a framework to curb the risk posed to young people from using the internet. So that's the story. I read all of it from graphiconline.com. .gh, I beg your pardon. So, Uncle Ken, Sadiq, I know the two of you have already seen and read this and debated it many times already in your homes. Uncle Ken, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know what you think.
Uncle Ken, you yourself?
Yes, I am being very honest with you.
Okay.
I don't know what to think, because it's a serious matter. And you read a quote from is it the Chief Director of the Ministry of
Madam Zachary?
No, from Hajia.
Samira?
Yes.
Okay.
She said parents have to be abreast with the use of the internet in order to guide their children on its usage, as their children mostly were more knowledgeable than them, which is true.
Yeah.
Most of the adults do not know.
Analog.
Yeah, you see, that's where I was coming to. So when Sadiq refers to me as an analog person,
Well, again, you know more digital than a lot of analog people.
Whew, this is a very serious matter, and if there was anything that could be done, possibly be done, to guide the kids on not getting themselves into sites that would, pollute them, all the best, as far as I'm concerned. But I am sitting here and I'm asking myself, how can it be done? Because we're talking laws now. We're talking about enacting new laws. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, this country is full of laws. Already. Our problem is we do not respect the laws, or we do not utilize the laws to punish people who commit crimes.
Enforcement
is an issue for us, You can stretch this out wide to magazines, newspapers, already in the system, radio and TV, what people see on digital television, that is uncontrolled. And then we come to the major point what is inappropriate content? Is it only nudity or sex that is defined as inappropriate content? I don't think so. I think there's so much content that pollutes the minds of children.
Like what?
That these Sakawa things that happen on TV. So I'm told. Unfortunately, my set, I am not able to. Now you're laughing.
I know what you're about to say, and I think Sadiq will laugh too.
I know he would laugh.
So you mean to say you're still watching your analog?
Uncle Ken is watching analog TV. Uncle Ken, it's a TV flat screen.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't have a hunchback.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It's a Samsung.
It's a Samsung. Yes.
Is it touch?
It is a very, very, very progressive Samsung TV.
Okay, progressive Samsung.
But
Is it satellite or is it a satellite?
It's a progressive Samsung TV.
yes.
Satellite TV.
Let me tell you my problem with
Okay,
my TV.
Okay.
My boys have always tried to do it for me, but I have said to them I don't need it. Point is, apparently, according to them, for me to be able to access those digital ones, I need an antenna.
Yes.
Yes.
But I only use my DSTV antenna.
Oh,
Okay.
And so,
That's a dish. The DSTV.
yes, I only use the dish. Yes.
Dish, you can,
And I only use my DSTV dish, so I am not able to access those other.
Why don't you want an antenna?
No, because I don't.
doesn't
Because
want to watch those.
I don't want to watch those things.
You don't want to watch it.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
They watch theirs downstairs. And
Why don't you want to watch it?
Because most of the things that they talk about, or I hear people talk about on those channels, are not worth watching. They are not worth watching. At least I get all the channels that give me information that I need on the DSTV bouquet.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why I don't. But apparently, the things that go on some of those channels are terrible. Do you remember is it about a year ago, Della? There was this issue about some televisions stations being taken to task for showing porn
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I think we need a very serious, cohesive program to stop these things from happening.
Program.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
something has to be done to sensitize the public against these things, because if anybody can access these things easily, as I'm sure they can, then how are we going to combat this? And then outside the TV, we have the smartphones as well to deal with. As for the smartphones angle, I don't know how it can possibly work. Abu, you are the best person to tell me. You know what can be done there. Like the minister said, she said they were going to enact laws and there were going to be punitive penalties, against sharing.
Drawing the parameters will actually even be difficult.
Sharing the content, distributing, and retaining. And so people should delete such content when they get such content sent to them. Look, the whole of last week, okay, let me give you I think that maybe something can be done. I don't know, you tell me now.
Okay.
The whole of this week, on social media, I have read posts and comments about a Pastor Wilson having done certain terrible things.
Terrible.
Yeah, well,
Hey, some people don't consider it terrible, again.
to congregants of his, lady congregants of his.
Yeah.
Now, I have only heard people talk and lambast and others praise or whatever, but I haven't seen anybody post what they claim to have seen.
It's on Twitter.
Well, okay.
Twitter has blocked it.
Twitter has blocked it.
Yeah, inappropriate content.
So it means that when content is that bad, it can be blocked.
Yes, but then it goes
Yeah,
around.
but it's on WhatsApp.
You know, it goes
stays
around.
on WhatsApp mainly.
It goes around before it gets removed.
and people can download it and keep it before.
Yeah, it goes
it's
around before it's removed.
Of course, because a lot of the people who speak about it have seen
Yeah.
the stuff. But then
It was trending, so when you just go to the trends on Twitter, it's right there.
Did you see?
I saw it.
And what do you think?
It was pornographic.
Complete pornography.
Content, but it was on there. And it was there for a while. I didn't even know it was off. It was there for days.
There are a lot of the when you search your WhatsApp, even it stays on WhatsApp. It's in a lot of the groups.
Well, I don't receive those things on WhatsApp. I guess the groups I belong to are not interested in such. But on Twitter, it's right there.
It's there.
It's on Twitter.
It's right there.
In the
You
trends.
can't avoid it. It's
Thank
right
God
there.
I'm not on Twitter.
It's right there. So,
I'll create a new Uncle Ken Twitter
you
account.
can't avoid it. But Uncle Ken, you should be on Twitter.
No, I'm not, and I don't want to be, because if these things.
Uncle Ken,
Yes,
are you
please.
saying that not being on Twitter protects you from viewing pornographic content?
I don't like pornography.
Yes, but I'm saying that, do you think that avoiding Twitter saves you the displeasure of having to see
Not only pornography, but the insults and the things that happen on
Twitter is
Twitter
more savage than
is what I don't want to be part of.
But you're on Facebook.
Yes, I'm on Facebook.
As a spy.
The same people. The same people are on there.
As a spy.
So I think I'm asking you these questions because I'm concerned about what the real problem is. Is the real problem protecting or criminalizing inappropriate content on social media? Or is it an attitude problem? Or is this content we are trying to protect people from on social media not already in our faces everywhere we turn?
But I think the import of what the minister is talking about is protecting children more than adults.
Yes.
It's the children angle that is what, because I heard that they've been to about 40 schools already,
And
trying
yes,
to
that's
get
right.
them to sort things out. Adults can take care of themselves.
Yes.
You
as
can't. I
opposed
don't
to-
think you can stop an adult from watching what they want to watch.
Yes.
But the kids, that's where the problem is. And so, if something can be done, all the better.
Sadiq, you are a digital panelist.
Yeah.
What's the age limit for Facebook or age requirement for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram?
I think it's dropped to about 13.
They've dropped it.
Yeah, it used to be 18, then it came to 16, and then now I think it's 13. Yeah, 13.
Do you know why the age requirement has been dropped?
Also because of the primary markets they operate in. Even though they are global brands, they operate from the United States, and so some of their laws impact them. In fact, this week Mark Zuckerberg was at Congress and answering to questions, and some of these initiatives that have been taken by these OTT platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
What's OTT?
I mean, off the top. So
Yeah, you can just say OTT and assume that we don't know.
Okay. I mean, so some of these platforms already have taken, some initiatives to protect certain people, and most of it was driven by the countries. I mean, this week, one of the congresswomen, for instance, was very livid when she was taking Mark Zuckerberg on. He was answering some questions, and she gave it to him proper relative to how the platform was supposed to protect people of color, how it was supposed to regulate content, LGBT people, and all of these things. They were they really, really took him on. I remember there was a question she asked him about whether, she asked him a question whether from all the people that he has in his employ, if they could not regulate content as and when it comes. She cited an example of people killing themselves and all of that, and since he's paid a lot of people sitting at the back end to be seeing all of these things, and they were very livid about it. That said, let's come to Ghana. It's a progressive move for our government to start to think in these ways. It's quite progressive, just that for a lot of us, we're a bit uncomfortable when government says or they give a certain reason to say they want to start regulating content. I mean, it brings to mind a lot of the things that are happening around the world relative to how online platforms or our platforms per se are regulated. Now, when I saw this, I was with a friend who just reminded me and said, Ghana people, this is your traditional media platforms. If you've not been able to regulate them, you are here talking about something which for around the world has always been elusive and very difficult to achieve. first question that will come to mind will be, that's why it was good that you clarified and added that, because when I saw it in the group, remember the first question I said, which law is she going to regulate this with? Because the existing laws, I mean, it's very what's it called, very emphatic on censorship and how you can't do that, so then I was
Can't
thinking,
do what?
you can't censor, okay. Is there any law that bars or that gives anybody the power to censor content in Ghana?
No, not censor content, but there are laws against inappropriate content. For instance,
is it laws
yes,
or guidelines?
Yes. Not guidelines. There are laws against pornography, so to speak. Pornography is outlawed in this country. Yes.
Yeah.
Simple.
I think Sadiq has a point, but then. So I think that you're talking more about freedom of speech and expression. Yes. So in Ghana, the Constitution, we're every Ghanaian, so long as you're in this country, you have the right to freedom of speech and expression.
Right. Yeah.
But then we also know that all laws, are not what do you call it? It's not wholesale.
So yeah,
there's always a caveat.
Always caveats.
So there's there are laws against pornography. There are laws against defamation. There are laws against inappropriate sexual
indecent
content.
exposure.
There are laws against indecent exposure. So there are these laws already. So I guess the real conversation we should be having, not the real conversation, but also what we should be asking is, why do we need new laws to regulate inappropriate social media content when we already have laws to regulate broadcasting inappropriate content? We already have so many laws regulating inappropriate content.
That should also tell you how online itself, even in matured markets where they have the technology and they have the power to be able to do some of these things, it's always been elusive. It's not been, some in some countries where they try, there's been lawsuits fighting it, for instance. Trying to prove points or dismantle it. But the question that is actually coming to our mind is that, look, we need to tell successive governments to be serious about certain things. You've not been able to regulate free-to-air platforms already that are doing worse to this and exposing children to a lot of these worse content on their platforms. And you are here, the same ministry, same organization, thinking about regulating online platforms. It's progressive to think about that. But the first question anybody should tell them, or the first thing anybody should tell them, is that go back, go and fix some of these things. Already, there are about nearly 60 digital TV channels. I hear there's a pastor that owns 5 or 6. Which law gives the pastor to or a leader of a religious organization to own these platforms?
I thought there was a law that was against religious.
That's the point that I'm saying, Uncle Ken. You've not been able to regulate that. A pastor owns 5 TV channels. He's operating 3 here. Thunder TV belongs to a woman called Agrada. What's her name? She's a fetish priest, and consistently she's on it. A number of these fetish priestess and herbalists and everything also own these digital platforms anyway. These are free-to-air digital platforms already. You have the power. These are easy. These are like low-hanging fruit. These are easy things for you to regulate before you think about the things. You've not been able to do that. Online, which is very difficult. You want to start to begin to have laws. Already there are existing laws for you to deal with these things. Same ministry. 60 TV channels. And I don't know what the NCA is doing about it. 60.
Yeah.
Competing without showing all these sort of, content. So, yes, it's progressive. It's a good thing for us to consistently be thinking about kids and children and all of that. But the same government which says that they are they are committed to ensuring that kids are not exposed to some of these content should put their money where their mouth is, which is still, it is very difficult. Remember the point when I said that it's very difficult to have. Why do I have DSTV, for instance? And every time in my house, the more reason why I have DSTV and I keep paying for it is because there's no kids channel in Ghana here.
There is.
Strictly. Which content? The Dundum one. Yeah. Which one? What do they show?
Well, you said there is no kids.
Yeah,
so
but
I'm telling you that there is.
Exactly. So the more reason why I have that is because my kids have access to certain, and I really
material.
So it's on there. But here, even on the popular TV platforms, it's difficult. That's why I said that we needed to, if really we are serious.
Let's start from the top. 1, what is inappropriate content in this context? 2, aren't there enough laws regulating, publication of obscene material already in our criminal code, the criminal offences Criminal and Other Offences Act, Act 29, don't we have enough already? And why do we need this new law? What exactly is the law supposed to do different from what the laws that already regulate broadcasting obscene material are doing? And are we able to enforce the laws that we have already?
That's what he just said.
Clearly we haven't.
So I think we should talk to a lawyer on this matter. I think we should talk to a lawyer on this matter.
Clearly we haven't. We haven't.
Let's talk to a lawyer on this matter. We have our baby lawyer here, but we need a real,
lawyer. Proper lawyer.
We need a real lawyer. All right, we've got lawyer Salali Wanya on the lines to talk to us. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
All right, so we just read a publication on graphiconline.com about certain laws that are to be instituted to regulate or criminalize the publication of obscene or inappropriate material on social media. Now, I was just discussing with Sadiq and Uncle Kenny in the studios, and we have some questions that we hope that you can help us answer. First of all, what are your thoughts on this new law that is to be instituted?
Well, it's quite surprising, but it's not untypical of Ghanaians. You know, look, there are too many laws on this issue already. The Criminal Offences Act has made provision for the publication of unseen material, like very elegant publications, like provisions in our laws. Now,
Mr. Wanya, could you please speak up a bit? We can't hear you.
Okay. Yes, I was saying that the laws as they are now are broad enough to encompass all these issues that the Honorable Minister is speaking about now. Now, I've read the publication, and she stated that the enactment of these laws, the framers of the law might not have had social media or the explosion of social media in their contemplation, so they need to make new laws. But the reading of these laws would suggest otherwise. Now, if you look at Section 380 and Section 281 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1950, there are elaborate provisions that cater for or that criminalize the publication or even having possession of obscene materials in any form, whether it's for your use or it's for publication or it's for sale. So I think that enacting new laws was not going to achieve the purpose. I think they should rather focus on enforcement. I feel that the problem has gotten to an extent where they might have to do something about it. But I think that first things first, like there's abundance of so-called unseen materials. What is unseen material anyway? What is in a context? That is what we should be looking at. So I think that if they want broad support for this policy, they might need to come out and then define what they mean by inappropriate content. I've read the article, and she made mention of sexual images are bound in our faces every day on newspapers. I go to the newspapers, and there are newspapers that are selling very explicit material. It's full of explicit materials. I don't mention names to give anybody ideas. They have those materials there. You come on our TV, you watch our movies, listen to music, you listen to or you watch music videos, and it's full of what some might define as sexual content. So I don't know what they are trying to do here, whether focus is solely on social media or they are going to make it broad enough to encompass traditional media, which the law already caters for.
All right, so if the focus is only for social media, do you think that we need this law for social media?
I don't think we don't need these laws. The laws are already there. The laws are broad.
But the laws don't regulate social media, do they?
Yeah, the laws don't regulate social media. Like the laws are not made for one instance, to fit into one category. The laws are made broad enough to encompass all in new situations. Well, in law, we say that our laws and constitution are living organisms that grow with us. So as the laws are growing, it's a matter for the courts and for those in charge to interpret the law broad enough to encompass all these new situations, rather than just resorting to making new laws to cater for every new situation. I don't think that's the best way to go.
What about the children? Because, she mentions that most children have become very active users of the internet. So we need to, enact laws that will protect them, from seeing these things and watching these things, because it's in our face and the children are on social media. And so if the laws that we already have are not being enforced enough to cover social media and protect children, don't you think that perhaps we should have these new laws?
I agree. I agree that the protection of the morality of children is important. Like, we need to keep their morals from being corrupted. But then I don't think social media is a problem. There are enough safeguards even with these social media applications, like the consent forms, the age limitations, and all of that. Even with our traditional media, some movies are rated. So you have a movie which is 18 or a movie which is PG-13, depending on the content and all of that. So this is like it's something new. This whole explosion of immorality, even if it exists, it's not anything that's new now. So enacting laws specific to that, I think that people are skeptical about. Well, I for one, I'm skeptical about these laws. What they define as inappropriate conduct. Are they trying to look at online bullying? Are they trying to target trolls? Are they trying to target explicit content materials on social media? Like, for example, like this Pastor Wilson, one of the panelists talked about. I mean, that is pornography. I agree that it's pornography and it's publication of it. What did the social media, the platform, did they shut it down? They blocked the link to it and they took it down. So I think these are the things that we should be looking at. These are the things that we should be looking at, rather than just wholesale enactment of new laws, which will not be enforced anyway, trust me.
All right. So what do you think the way forward is? If you could advise the ministry, what would you say?
I think that they should enforce the existing laws. For example, they've tried. There are instances where people have been jailed for distributing nude pictures of their exes or sex tapes. People have been prosecuted and convicted and are serving jail sentences. So I think that's the way to go. If we strengthen our laws, because once you enact new laws, the existing laws as they are become superfluous and obtuse. So let us enforce the laws as they are now. They are broad enough, in my opinion, to encompass this new social media, whether you would want to call it new social media moral decadence that is happening.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Okay, thank you, too.
Uncle Ken, hold on, Lawyer Wanya. Uncle Ken wants to speak with you.
Hi.
Good evening, lawyer.
Yeah, hi, Uncle Ken.
Hi. I read somewhere that all this was to do with a National Week celebration of the Cyber Security Awareness Month 2019.
Yes.
So don't you think these issues have come up under cyber security? That is why things are being thrown at us left, right, center.
Well, cyber security, as I understand it, it looks at, number one, the protection of sensitive data. It's more about a data protection issue rather than a morality issue. Because cyber security, you are looking at avoiding people compromising the integrity of our data information systems, our national security system. Because cyber security is a national security matter now. Because of the digital age that we live in, we have people's information online. We have our banking systems, our even national information system, our address systems are all linked, are online. So cyber security is supposed to protect those systems from being compromised, and not about obscene materials that people indulge in, if I may use that word. So to tie the two together, to say that obscene materials is a cyber security issue, then what happens in the traditional media, where we watch TV and there are all manner of things on TV, we listen to songs and there are all manner of things. Are they now going to police and regulate that? I don't think so. The right to speech and the right to freedom of expression encompasses the publication or the expression of unpopular, obscene, or even, well, I don't want to use that word, but it encompasses those unpopular opinions. People have the right to express unpopular opinions. People have the right to express obscene, what might be obscene, so far as it's within the bounds of the law. And the law should not be overreaching.
I also heard a security analyst
Yes.
saying that the public should be extremely cautious about opening email attachments, particularly when even emails of persons known to them could be compromised. This same person raised red flags about the danger in social media users recklessly leaving personal information on social media platforms, thereby leaving themselves and others vulnerable to scams and other forms of cybercrime. He went on to say, these days you look at people's Facebook and WhatsApp status and it's like a movie, and you can easily profile them and harvest information that can be used for committing crime, he said.
Yes.
Saying that I think it's a whole embodiment of the things that can happen within that space that we are talking about.
Yes, but the context, if I understood your comments, and the broad context within we are having the discussion has to do with the criminalizing of obscene online content. Putting your information, your personal information online is ill-advised, but it might not be inappropriate. It might not be inappropriate online content.
Okay.
I mean, you have to be vigilant not to put your information out there. You leave yourselves to be targeted by scammers, and there are all these phishing programs that are attached to emails, all of that. Yes, so vigilance is key. Those are cybersecurity issues.
Right.
But online publication of online or obscene or inappropriate online content, in my humble opinion, is not a cybersecurity.
It's not under cybersecurity. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Baby lawyer. Sadiq.
No, that's fine.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you, Nasha, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Top of the day to you too. That was Lawyer Wanya talking to us about this matter. I'm going to read some of your messages
You had a lot
coming.
of tests, right? Related to the material, the topic.
Yeah. So many messages coming in from other lawyers. I'm glad to have classmates who are lawyers now. Sami Kofi sends me section 280 of Act 29, publication or sale of obscene material. A person who publishes or offers for sale an obscene book, writing or representation commits a misdemeanor. Further offenses relating to obscenity is 1. A person commits a misdemeanor who A, for purposes of or by way of trade or for the purpose of distribution to the public, exhibition, makes or produces or has in his possession one or more writings, drawings, paintings, a lot of things, photographs, films that are obscene. And so on. See, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
So there's so much material here.
There are so many laws already.
Correct.
That can be used to.
We've all said
on this
that.
matter.
Some specific issues related to the law.
Before we go on, just to make sure that we are discussing this in the right context, let us talk to Vincent Sowa Odote, Deputy Communications Minister, because he wants to make some clarifications. Yes, before we go on. Nice. Hello, sir.
Hi, man. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thanks you for trying to raise the issue about cybersecurity and issues regarding new legislation and cybersecurity thing.
Pleasure, sir.
My regards to you and greetings to your cherished listeners. First of all, let me say that I just say lawyer Wanya, cybersecurity goes beyond the kind of definition he's given. You see, in this digital age, it's not only your networks that you have to protect. You have to protect the program, the application. You have to protect also the data that is generated thereof, where people's human rights are infringed upon. Yes, I agree by and large with you. We agree. I remember before we acceded to the Budapest Convention about cybercrime, they give us by and large, our laws conform and give us the foundation to be able to accede to the Budapest Convention. But there are still laws. Our criminal code was enacted in 1960. By that time, we all agree that technology was so all-encompassing as it is now. We have the Electronics Transaction Act, Act 752, I think, 228, and the Electronics Communication Act. But there are still little gaps. That's why we come out to promulgate the data protection law to show how data collectors, like every organization now, everything you do, you engage with any organization or third parties, you have to give them your bio data. People take your transit data, how they must be protected, and how they must be handled, how they must be stored, and how they can be disseminated. So, by and large, I agree with you, but there are certain actions online that needs to be criminalized under our criminal code.
Such as?
And the best thing, the best thing is to speak to the judges, the Supreme Court judges, whether all the issues about cyber issues we bring to them, whether they have all the laws that cover that. So, I agree by and large with you, but to say that no one is interested in controlling content, that's far from it. We don't really have the time to do that. But we must appreciate that technology brings new challenges and new issues, new behaviors that must be criminalized. For example, under the Data Protection Act, Section 58(1) demands that every organization like Joy FM must have a certified data privacy practitioner who is similar to the internal auditor to ensure that Joy FM is compliant with the data protection law, so that you will not flout the rights of your staff or your third parties who come to visit you. They give you your data, and these things are not satisfied properly in our law. So, and also we are doing the cyber security thing because 50% of cyber security issues are great to understand, Doctor, whether it's about cyber hygienic practices. We live in a networked environment. How would you, for example, if you have a device on the network and you don't use a properly certified operating system, and you allow your system to so that it gets attacked, and it affects every system on the network. It's an irresponsible act, and those things we need to alert people to that. So, cyber security, I plead with you. It's not something that we should. It's something that we should take extremely serious, because very soon 90% of transactions that we do are going to be electronic, are going to be digital, and in cyberspace, we need to get laws that will protect actions that we do, the things we do in cyberspace.
All right. But I thank you for the clarification on cybersecurity. But our discussion today leans more towards the criminalizing of inappropriate content on social media.
Yes.
So I guess my first question to you would be, what is inappropriate content? And two, don't we have enough laws already against obscenity, the publication of obscene material?
Yeah, as I said, I believe we have, but it's got more to do with child online protection. We believe that the means with which now people are able to disseminate information electronically, and then the anonymity of cyberspace we need to strengthen the law so that it's not just that people, even when you disseminate or you propagate law obscene, but even now there are some countries that even when you receive it without even sharing it, the fact that you received it and you didn't delete immediately, it becomes a crime. There are some Western countries that that's what it is, because our children, whether we like it or not, now use technology as a tool to study, and we encourage them to be digitally literate. So we need to go a step further to ensure that we give them maximum protection, so that children are not exposed to things that they're not exposed to things that they shouldn't do, ideally that they shouldn't see.
Okay,
so we can't. I don't think that. Maybe, as I said, we need to speak to us. But for anyone to say that we do not need any laws, any further laws to strengthen our criminal code and offences under the Electronic Transactions Act, I think it will be disastrous for us if we argue along those lines.
All right. First, I would really like for you to explain what inappropriate content is to us?
Well, now, if you expose nude pictures to a child who is under our laws is defined as a child, it's criminal. It's criminal.
Yes.
Then that's inappropriate in that context.
Okay, so when you say inappropriate content, you mean sexual content?
Well, that's one of them.
What
that's
else?
one of them. We need to speak to the lawyers, but that's one of them.
What else?
Well, anything that's, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but anything that's in the context within which it is disseminated is not, it's not appropriate. Can be classified as inappropriate content.
Okay, I wish you could just give me a few more examples beyond sexual, or
No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Let's do.
Okay, that's fine. That's
yeah.
fine.
Let's do.
So one example is sexual content.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's
Yes.
do.
And
because I don't think any of us were giving your child a laptop or a tablet to use for research, and then you come to find that someone is sharing nude pictures and sexual content with them. I don't think you find it very, very pleasant.
not at all.
Yeah, not at all.
Very
Yeah. So
inappropriate.
yes. So I agree, but I don't think that there are certain criminal behaviors. Generally, broadly speaking, that's digital behaviors that must be criminalized under our criminal code. I recall we've had meetings with the Supreme Court judges, and yes, we're trying to prosecute certain behaviors, but they are the first who will tell you that they need more clarity and some explicit provisions under our criminal code to be able to adequately prosecute and nail down people that are perceived to be that use some form of that use electronic means to commit crime.
All right, I agree with you, and I agree. I see that you also agree with us when we say that there are enough laws protecting us. Okay,
I agree with you,
viewing,
but by and large,
inappropriate material online, and in this case,
Yes.
you say sexual content. And Section 280 of Act 29 makes the publication of obscene material a misdemeanor. So, don't you think that perhaps we should be focusing on enforcing the law rather than enacting new laws to regulate social media?
No, I don't think so. No one wants to regulate social media. I don't think that there are some actions that are digitally, some behaviors which are done digitally, which are not captured, which are not captured under criminal code. As I said, these, for example, provisions under the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, which is a global reference convention, which is adopted by majority of the countries, spells out all these issues clearly. I'll need to, if we find time and I can come to the studio and show you those specific provisions on that. We are not the only country that is going this direction, where we are trying to identify clearly digital behaviors that infringe on human rights, that are not acceptable and very dangerous and detrimental to the public. I mean, apart from content, there are issues regarding. Okay, fine. You want to talk about content, but the issues regarding critical national information infrastructure, things that you can do, things that you cannot do. So, I mean, I agree by and large with you. As I said before, we acceded to the Budapest Convention, an analysis of the legal gaps in the country. By and large, our Criminal Code and Electronic Transaction and Electronic Communications Act, by and large, are adequate. But still, there were gaps that needed to be properly defined to ensure that we give a lot of trust to technology and for us to continue to benefit from technology and then protect our human rights. You see, if we have to err on the side of caution so that people can continue to rely on technology. If we have to err in this instance, and I'm not saying we are erring, because as I said, the Budapest Convention, that guide gives a reference document on how to criminalize digital behavior is a recent thing that we are looking at. For example, last year, 25th May, the European Union came out with a global GDPR, Global Data Protection Regulation, on how data collectors or organizations can handle the data that they are generated electronically. These are things which are emerging, and we must lay our minds to it. No one wants to control any content. That's not the objective. But we have to make sure that before we can reap the full benefits of the digital dividends, we must make sure that we give people assurance that when they use the technology, when they go into cyberspace, they are protected in every means. They are protected with their network, their data. The children are also protected. They have confidence to do that so that we can be able to properly reap all the efficiencies that technology brings.
All right. Sadiq wants to ask you a question.
Okay.
Honorable. Yes, I'm glad
sir.
that your government is this is progressive move is concerned about these things. But in the wake of Cambridge Analytica and also the fact that in certain countries digital behavior, like you said, have been criminalized. There's been a lot of legitimate concerns relative to government regulating these things or using this as a medium to sort of victimize their enemies. How do you intend to go about this in ways so as to not use it to victimize people or people that you're against on social media? It may seem as a joke, but online I saw a commentary relative to how last weekend, for instance, the Ministry of Communication was bashed on social media. I don't know if there's a correlation to this, but how do you intend to go about this in ways not to use it to?
Not at all. This, first of all, when we assumed the reins of government, cybersecurity celebration was a one-day thing. 2017, we did it a week, and since last year, it's been a month. Last year, so we've designated the month of October as the National Cybersecurity Month. And this year, 1st October, we launched the incident report point of contact through WhatsApp, email, telephone, and then when somebody feels that their rights have been breached digitally in cyberspace, where they can reach us. So the cybersecurity week that we had this week was a climax of a month-long celebrations. It has nothing to do with anybody who passion Ministry of Communication. Coming to your earlier question, this is a country governed by the rule of law. All the provisions that, for example, the Data Protection Act comes up with, it was passed by Parliament. There are certain there are enough provisions in it to protect the rights of individuals and to make sure that we don't use the law to victimize anyone. That is why earlier on I told you that it's the judges, the Supreme Court judges, who are pointing to inadequacy of our laws on some criminal behavior on cyberspace. So already they are making us aware that there are certain things that you bring that cannot be that they cannot properly prosecute. That's why we are trying to close the gaps. We are not, as a government, interested in state control content. For example, yesterday I had a call from the police CID about someone using a license granted by the NCA to broadcast and was using it to attack his opponents. And then I told that no, as the Minister of Communication, the NCA, we don't control content. It should go to the Media Commission. We, as a Minister of Communication, are not interested in. We just want to ensure that the laws are made to be implemented by the judiciary. And this is not a police state. This is actually very, very, very far from that.
I'm glad that you said that. Your ministry does not control content, but an agency under your ministry, for instance, gives out licenses and regulates it, and there are guidelines to this as well. Focusing on digital is good, but most of these content and things that you're talking about, which you intend to regulate on digital, is already happening on traditional free-to-air television. With you having an agency under you, what are you doing about For instance, religious leaders owning 5 or 4 television licenses, for instance, juju people owning television channels where they do a lot of these rituals and everything, which society also deems as inappropriate. What are you doing about these particular, licensing regime? What are you doing about them?
Well, as I said, we issue once people meet the conditions for them to want the issuance of a license, we do that. When it comes to content, once they get a license and they are abusing that, if you violate the terms of your license, if you violate the terms of your license, for example, those that are supposed to renew time and they didn't do that, we do that. But in terms of the real content, well, we refer you to the Media Commission. That's the statutory body set up to deal with that kind of thing.
Uncle Ken.
I'm okay.
All right.
Hi, Na.
Yes. Mr. Vincent Soadote, thank you so much for talking to us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. We can talk a lot more about this cybersecurity if we schedule a time. We can, some of the questions you asked me, we'll be able to do a lot more, a lot more in the detail.
And I'll be glad if we could actually have a sit down and further talk about this. Sadiq is asking before you go.
Would these laws be only specific to online behavior?
No, not at all. The new cybersecurity bill is really good. It's going to be very far-reaching. There are things I cannot divulge now in public to ensure that people don't use cyberspace to commit other crimes, which we are going to tackle all of them. We are going to give provisions, and then also we are based on the experiences we've had with the limitations of current legislation on how to gather evidence, electronic evidence. Based on the experience we've had, there some of the provisions of the law will change, will be amended, so that we'll be able to quickly and a lot more easier be able to get electronic evidence to use it for the prosecution of unwanted behavior in cyberspace. So it's not just about content. No, it's going to be very, very all-encompassing, even and very far-reaching.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us.
It's a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much.
All right. So that was Mr. Vincent Soadote. He's a Deputy Communications Minister. He joined us to clarify, he said, some points on this matter of criminalizing inappropriate content on social media. I'm going to read some of your messages coming in on our WhatsApp platform on 0244-340-437, and then I'll activate the phone lines after. All right. Hello, Na. Great discussion there. Firewall is the best solution to this problem. I'll always say this. Countries like China, Korea have collaborated with these social media sites, and firewalls have been created to control these so-called inappropriate content. Laws must be enforced to control these things that are showed on TV or billboards, posters around town. And that's from Chronicles.
Yes.
All right. How about regulating content on the songs artists churn out? These musicians are feeding our minds and that of children with sex. Charles from Norway sends that. Hey guys, best entertainment talk show in Africa, no size Joy from what? Thank you so much. Hello, Na. This is Isaac Andor texting you from Cantonments. It's possible for communication. Is it possible for the Communications Ministry to ban people from having multiple accounts on social media? Why should one person have 5 accounts on Facebook? One real name and 4 fake names.
That they can't. I mean, it's also.
I mean, what does that hurt? What does that hurt, though? Does it hurt anybody?
Now, people could create fake accounts to, pursue crime with or anything just because they intend to hide it. But Facebook itself has one of the mechanisms of. You can't use a particular email account, for instance. You would have to be recreating emails account, but it's really a concern for a lot of people. The fake accounts thing.
All right. But 0244-340-437 is the number to reach me. Uncle Ken, do you have one?
Yeah, there's one I saw. Drogba's hair gel. Drogba's hair gel.
Oh my days!
You know,
there are a lot of them.
Uncle Ken, last week that one is fake.
But how can a human being be called Drogba's hair gel?
Maybe he's a supplier of Drogba's.
So last weekend I know a particular fake account. Somebody pointed it out to me on Twitter. He used to send me a lot of hit account. He used Stoneboy's name, so he uses Stoneboy009. And when I pointed it out to him in our engagement that his account is fake and all of that, he ran away.
Wow.
Yeah, somebody saw it and indicated and showed me how the characteristics of seeing that, okay, this particular thing is a fake account.
I'm going to create one called Sadiq Sunglasses.
Sadiq,
All right. You
I
can
like
call
the
us now. 0302-216-541 is the number to call us on. 0302-216-541. Do you agree? Do you think this is a step in the right direction, for the communications ministry to say that laws to criminalize inappropriate content online are soon going to be enacted? What are your thoughts on it? Do we need this right now? Of course, we need to protect our children, don't we? We have our children constantly online, watching YouTube, kids watching this, watching that. How do we protect them? Is the law the way to go? Call me 0302-216-541. I'd like to hear from you. Uncle Ken.
There's another one that sent me a friend request. Miss Easy Pickings.
Miss what?
Easy Pickings.
Why do you think that's fake?
I just saw that account now. He uses @Stoneboy09 and he follows me.
At Stoneboy09.
Yeah, it's not a Stoneboy account.
Okay, how do you know if an account is fake? Surely there are other people called Stoneboy.
Okay, no, but he's not. I mean, so for instance, Stoneboy's account is verified.
Yes, but
So
is
you
he the
see-
only one called Stoneboy in the world?
I mean, he's the most popular Stoneboy.
So I can also be called Stoneboy. I cannot use my Stoneboy because there's a Stoneboy.
No, it's not necessarily because of the name, but the
Does he use
activity.
Stoneboy's picture?
I mean, he uses the picture, but the activity.
Okay.
The activity.
Okay.
I mean, how long he spends online and the duration.
Let's talk to Moha, who's on the line now. Hello, Moha.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you for the good work for the motherland.
Amen. You're live. Hello, Moha. All right. Moha is gone. Call us 0302-216-541. I read online somewhere earlier this week. Someone said that it's so sad how people die on radio every day. And I was like, what? Who died on radio? They said, yeah, you hear a radio presenter saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we lost him there." Uncle Ken, you didn't get the joke. Oh, Uncle Ken.
I did. But we lost him.
You listen to one radio show and we keep losing people. All right. King Shasha is on the line. Hello, King Shasha.
Hello, Ma.
Hi, you're live.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you please turn down the volume of there's something playing in the background. Can you please turn that down? Or move away from the noise, please.
Yeah, please, I'm away from it.
Thank you.
Please, the discussion we are having is quite interesting, but I think the authorities, the way they are dealing about this cyber crime thing is not helping at all. Because at midnight from 11 to, let's say, 3 a.m., when you open the radio, the TV, you see this malams and co advertising and stuff. And it goes on, it has been going on for a very, very long time now. You see the adverts on billboards and stuff in town. So if they say they are bringing a mechanism to prevent all this, I think it should be something in the right direction, and they should do it with all they said they are going to do, so that our kids will be safe from all this kind of lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, King Shasha, for calling. 0302-216-541 is the number to reach us on. All right. 0302-216-541. Uncle Ken.
Now, with the advent of technology, everybody, I agree with the minister when he says that sometimes the judges find it difficult to deal with certain issues that come to them based on the old laws that they have. I think it happens from time to time, and so you always need to upgrade, have an upgrade on the laws so that things can be dealt with as and when it's necessary. Because without that, you'll go and the cases are struck off and we don't understand why they are.
But when the lawyer was speaking, he said that, the law as it is a living organism, so to speak. And it grows as we grow. And it develops as we develop. So as things change, the law can be interpreted to cover them. Let me talk to Francis on the line now, and we'll come back to this matter. Hello, Francis.
Hello, my sister.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, good evening to our listeners.
Good evening to you. Live.
In fact, it appears this whole thing about what the children should consume and whatever, if you are looking at it from the perspective of a parent, a teacher, from whichever angle, we are confusing the system. We don't know what exactly we are telling the teachers to do and not to do. So, for me, I feel that the legislation will be the best way to go. Whatever content. We were having a syllabus curriculum in place, and then there were things that we were calling, for example, English language. You say you have English, then you have an aspect called composition, comprehension, whatever. Then inside that one, you have other things. Now they say strand, sub-strand. Are we only changing the names, or what are we doing? What are this content that we are talking about? The objective that the teacher is supposed to achieve when delivering the lesson at a particular point in time. I just can't get it. The teachers and the children are getting confused. Right now, as I speak, I teach in a private school, and we cannot even tell the parents that go and buy this particular book because we don't know which one will help all the children at the same time. You open unit 2 in one book, another book is unit somewhere.
I think I get what you mean. I think I get what you mean. Thank you so much for sharing, all right? We appreciate the call. I've got Paco Joe on the line. Hello, Paco Joe.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes,
please. Good evening.
Good evening. Sorry for
good evening to Uncle Ken and the young gentleman there. Now, I am really enjoying the show, but my surprise really is that other people have always been pretentious about issues. You see, and I'm happy everybody is actually conceding the fact that there are so many laws in Ghana. What we lack is the implementation. We are afraid to implement laws because we might hurt one political party or the other, or one individual or the other. Now, we sit in this country and we think that we are more law-abiding than our brothers in Nigeria. But in Nigeria, you can never advertise on alcohol until 10 p.m. Correct me if I'm wrong. We sit here and at 6 p.m., when children are doing their homework, we have people wriggling their waist to Adonko and whatever, and we sit in the country. What is obscenity now? If I'm a teacher and I stand in front of a children and I wriggle my waist to some, sexy song, is it not obscenity? And it's not surprising that around this time we're discussing CSE and everything. I think that we should start implementing our laws and we'll be fine. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you so much, Paco Joe. Uncle Ken agrees with you greatly. Yeah. I've got Tant on the line now. Hello, Tant.
Grandma, please don't lose me.
I promise not to lose you. All right, you're live.
Nice program. I think Sadiq asked the minister a question, and I'm not sure whether he answered it. You know, this shouldn't be a subtle way of trying to gag some people from social media. We can all see people going hard on the government through social media. We all know there are, bad contents all over, but it should be done in a way that all of us will know what is happening. And then especially, it shouldn't just be online. TV. People are talking about how people advertise these kind of juju things, and then all sort of, even alcohol. I am a Muslim, but some of the adverts they do on alcohol, sometimes I'm tempted to go and taste. I'm telling you.
No kidding.
I'm telling you. They polish it in a way that you sit down and, no I don't know. You
sure say you don't be one of them already?
No. I'm not one of those American Muslims, please. Okay, bye.
All right, Tat. Tat says he's not one of us. American Muslims.
American Muslim.
Sadiq, what kind of Muslim are you?
I'm an active Muslim.
What?
I'm an active Muslim.
You're not American Muslim.
Yeah.
What is an American
Some of my
Muslim?
friends call me American Muslim anyway.
What? So it's a thing?
Oh no, I think that it's a term they use for a funky Muslim, so to say.
Oh, then you're an American Muslim.
Oh, why? Because I go to the club.
I didn't know. You go to the club. Which one? Which one?
Oh, because I work in the entertainment industry.
Oh, Uncle Ken.
He's a good
He's a gatekeeper.
I don't tell you, Uncle Ken has been
He's
looking
the
for-
one that stands
Didn't
to
I
tell
tell
the
you?
other Muslims
Didn't I
away.
tell you Uncle Ken has been waiting for? And he will jab me back. He tell me.
Or he takes his spy work to the club also. He comes to catch you there. Hello, now I still have Pastor Wilson's video on my phone.
Eh?
Have I broken the law in Ghana?
For
I did not ask for it. It was a WhatsApp group, and
You watch it again and
automatically came to my phone. So he was there. But then to have in your possession obscene
Exactly.
material
Yeah.
in
It's-
itself is
yes,
a
yes,
misdemeanor.
yes, yes.
So yes, you are
and
breaking
soon,
the law.
and will soon be criminalized.
Yes. So you cannot have it in your possession.
Yes.
Yes. That itself
You
is
can
a
only watch
misdemeanor.
it and leave it in the app in WhatsApp.
You have to delete it. Remove it.
Exactly.
No, but
Because
if
if
you're
it's
not the
on-
one that sent it in,
Yeah.
so okay, the criminalization, of course, it will affect even the people that send it in,
Yes.
and obviously the people
It's
that keeps it.
it also affects the person who keeps it on their phone.
Yeah.
So just for the avoidance of doubt, Section 280 of Act 29 says the publication or sale of obscene material.
Right.
Now here is the explanation. A person who publishes or offers for sale an obscene book, writing, or presentation commits a misdemeanor. For the purposes of this law, okay, so it goes on and on and on and on. And I'm just trying to find the part where it talks about keeping it in your possession. Also makes it a misdemeanor. I'll find it and read it to you. But it's in Section 280. So don't keep it on your phone. Delete it. Now it's twerking in my G-string bikini on Twitter, Snapchat, or Instagram inappropriate content, according to Esla Usu. I think I'll leave that to the lawyer, Sadiq, to answer.
What currently on social media, it wouldn't be unless maybe somebody reports it and then Twitter or Facebook.
So comes back to the question: what is inappropriate content? I mean, when you say sexual content, what is sexual content? To someone, kissing is sexual content.
Pastor Wilson is sexual content.
Pastor Wilson is sexual content. You know, for someone,
And
something that is
inappropriate.
even sexually
And it's
appealing is sexual content. Like a woman in a bikini. But,
Yes, but
is
that's
that
not
is that
inappropriate.
inappropriate?
No.
To you, Uncle Ken, it
Yes.
is not. But
So
to the
the
next
parameters,
person, it may be.
determining the parameters.
So yes, the parameters. What is sexual? What is inappropriate sexual content, Uncle Ken? Because your morality is different from my morality. What you consider inappropriate could be different from what I consider inappropriate. Like you said, a bikini is not inappropriate.
No.
But to the person asking this question, for them to have this concern, they must be wondering if it is. So it might be to another person. What is inappropriate? Well,
We all know
Question.
inappropriate
Uncle Ken,
sexual content.
Uncle Ken,
Don't we?
Twerking in G.
there are some things that are obviously, sexual in nature. Obviously. But then there are some things also that, might just be hanging in the balance. Like wearing a bikini and twerking. You see, if you wear this on the beach and you take a picture, people say, oh, she's at the beach. What do you expect her to do?
Yeah.
But if I wore the same outfit in front of a very nicely lit room and did a dance, would that be sexual content?
On Facebook, there's been instances where Facebook had taken off such
Say
materials.
Roro, the Roro videos that went around.
That one was
a lot of
inappropriate
people,
content.
listened to the song and then took off their clothes
That was
and left their.
inappropriate.
So
That's
it was just up to their
inappropriate.
underwear.
Yes.
Uncle Ken, the same underwear covers the same amount of body that a bikini covers. So what makes that inappropriate and
But
a bikini appropriate?
in that instance, they took off their shirts and brassiere and all of that.
No,
So
I mean I'm talking about those who didn't take off their bras and their panties. They did. People did a lot of strip dances with that song, and left on their bra and panties, and people considered that very inappropriate.
yeah.
But a bikini is appropriate. What's the difference? Right. This is a Google definition of inappropriate content. Any material that is disturbing, improper, and just plain wrong for children. Anything that is not normal for a child to view, such as sexually explicit content. Then it goes on to talk about adult pornography, semi-nude or nudity.
And then even crime.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
there are, you know, once in a while you see a video online where somebody's shooting another person. I think 2 weeks ago there was something I saw on Twitter about a girl that was shooting her ex. I mean,
We've seen people commit suicide.
Yes, I mean, crime, armed robbery, and all of these things. I mean, these are also inappropriate content for kids.
Anyway.
You know, the question you just posed,
Yeah.
and I was dumbstruck as to how to explain myself.
Uh-huh.
You know, you asked what is inappropriate, and you asked me a simple question. If somebody is in a bikini and is at the beach, I would proclaim that's not inappropriate.
Yeah.
Because that's the attire you're
Appropriate
supposed to.
outfits for
Yeah,
the
appropriate
beach.
outfit you're supposed to be in at the beach. But you then said that if she is in a
Broadcast it.
dimly lit room
Yes.
and is doing what?
It's called twerking. Say twerking.
Twerking.
You can say
Twerking.
Oh no, let him say it. Say it slowly.
Okay.
Uncle can say it.
Forget it.
So I never wants to corrupt our favorite uncle.
No,
I will not allow it to happen.
Listen, there's another definition of what is inappropriate content or obscene content. Federal law prohibits obscene, indecent, and profane content from being broadcast on the radio or TV. Now, in the Supreme Court in 1964, in a landmark case, listen to this, Sadiq. In a landmark case on obscenity and pornography, Justice Porter Stewart, when confronted to explain what is obscene or inappropriate content, said, "I know it when I see it."
That is the explanation
Yes.
of inappropriate
What
content.
is the
I know it when I see it.
it?
Or something
Yeah.
that is
That was a judge,
logically
oh.
disturbing to
A Supreme
good
Court
number of
judge.
people in society.
The reasonable man.
Yes, I mean something that if, for instance, this particular twerking video, if you show it to 10 people and you probably have 8 people say, "What is this?"
Where
Or
do you
"This is
gather
wrong."
the 10 people from?
No, I'm saying that if reasonably,
Randomly
you know that,
sampling.
or
10
even when you're
people.
thinking about
Okay.
it, if you truly know that this is something that people would cringe or frown on, you know, at that particular point that it's not appropriate content. Like Pastor Wilson.
You know, lawyers say
I
that.
mean, if you're a parent, for instance, ask yourself that if you cannot show a Pastor Wilson video to your child, then it's not an appropriate content.
Sadiq, you know, you lawyers say
No, not yet.
what you determine these things sometimes by what a reasonable person would consider inappropriate.
Yeah.
And a reasonable person is a man on the Medina Trotro, according to our laws.
Yeah.
So just a regular guy walking, you know, if that person would consider this inappropriate, then it's inappropriate,
Yes.
basically. But that's
You know,
still very broad.
but one of the things,
But-
one of the things that you need to bring your mind to from what the minister said was that, I mean, let's not only focus it on sexual content and all of
Inappropriate.
that.
Yeah.
Crime.
Cyber
I mean,
crime.
we've seen cyber crime. I mean, still, there's a lot of Sakawa things happen. When we say Sakawa, I mean, these days we call them Game Boys, you know.
Oh, so
happening.
that's Game Boy.
No, when they say a Game Boy, I mean, essentially that's what they mean. They mean, you know, they've given it a funky name, you know. But I mean, it's still happening. Ghana is still a destination for a lot of these crimes,
Yeah.
you know. And as a country that has signed to an international law, I mean, it's their duty to also protect other citizens of the world as much as other countries
Yeah,
protect their
yeah,
citizens as
yeah,
well, which is
yeah.
good. Just that some of these concerns that we've raised are important concerns that they need to look at, not to use a particular law to
Gag.
victimize or gag people. And then for me personally, I think that there has to be a way where the minister may have probably found a way to escape, to say, well, we don't regulate content.
Was it the same government that repealed the criminal libel law?
Yes.
All right.
You know.
That brings us to the end of this conversation on Showbiz A to Z. Today, we're going to go for a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some more about throwing bottles and what they mean. Stay tuned.
Me to be Mobiato, me to be Mobiato. Hey.
Charlie, we've got some serious lyricists in the house.
This is a beautiful beautiful song.
It is, isn't it?
Beautiful song. This song, I mean, but I can say this song is not gospel.
Uncle Ken, what's a gospel song?
Why do you call this a gospel song?
Okay, so the content. The basis of this particular content is a particular Corinthians. I can't remember, but was that I've forgotten. But if I remember it,
Joseph's story.
I
there was
heard
a story about
Joseph.
I can something by his might, by my might. I've forgotten that line. If anybody remembers, they should send it.
I heard your compatriot Ola Michael
Yes.
saying to be able to sing gospel, you need the calling.
Yes.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's Ola's opinion.
that's what he said.
Yes.
I'm right, yeah?
Yeah, you're right.
And I found it interesting. What calling?
Like the calling a pastor would have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what he meant.
But we are
That's
called
what he
upon
meant.
to spread the word. Every one of us.
Because I made the argument that I think we should focus on the content itself. I mean, once he was speaking about I'm able to do things not by my might, but by God's might, and for which reason he's showing appreciation for it, then, I mean, it's gospel. Essentially, it's a
Okay.
good news. And then Ola made the point that it's not gospel because of the artist's positioning. Then I said, no, I'm not saying a gospel artist, but a gospel song. You know,
I agree with you.
So-
because I mean, there are songs that.
Kirk Franklin wasn't known as a gospel artist.
Okay, let's
before.
come to Ghana. Let's come to Ghana.
there are a lot of songs.
No, I mean, no, I'm trying
There's a
to.
song like Adonai by Castro, for example, which
By Sarkodie.
yeah, it's Sarkodie, and I think it's a gospel song.
Yeah.
But many people don't think so. You know what? Let's listen to some parts of Adonai by Sarkodie and Castro.
Bientôt collection. Oh, bientôt collection.
Memma woni pe bi ambu abonfia ahopo pro mo yenye na buhuntia oye wotam fo ja no maniwia yambu amu amunsi na bumpia
Se upe mo anyo menyi na edi na nyame ni awakano ne bebe mo se uma usa swabi ponyi na tutu so my party don't lose God can't walk for my door yeah. Everybody singing hallelujah.
Uncle Ken, is this gospel?
I'm confused. I don't know.
If Joe Metal sang the same lyrics, would you say it's gospel?
He says, so ube moi.
Maybe.
Charlie, my tree is gone.
Maybe if Joe Metal sang this, I would.
So I think that it looks like it's been one of the things that with the mistakes that we've probably making, focusing more on the positioning of the talent and not the content of the songs itself.
Yeah.
I think in our private conversation there was a song by Shatawale recently.
Even this song,
No, not my level.
CCTV.
After the even CCTV,
I think
after the
I think it
VGMA,
has a strong gospel vibe.
you know, but I mean it's always been that, and also because
Anyway.
obviously, you know,
So a gospel song is determined by the message.
The content.
The
If it
content,
preaches to
yeah.
you, because it preaches to me. Like this song, when I hear it, no matter like how troubled I am, it just brings calmness in my soul.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all you have to do is call on God, and once He's in the picture, everything is fine. Everything will be fine. I don't get that from some gospel songs I listen to that say, "Where are you?"
Party don't lose God.
are you here?
Those ones are for happy, glorious times. But sometimes when you're down, you need music like this, and it's gospel for me. Anyway, I'd like to dedicate the song Adonai by Sarkodie and Castro to Orlando of GIJMAPR class. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday, Orlando, from Fifi Adau and the entire PR class. Especially going out to you. I hope
you
you're
don't want to
dancing.
dedicate it to Kabute as well.
To Kabute. Okay, so apparently there's a certain gospel musician.
No, your husband is called Kabute.
Oh, we are not talking about my husband. So there is a certain hip life artist in Ghana who's AKA Kabute. Apparently everybody knows except me. So if you know, please text me. We're conducting a survey. 0244340437. Which hip life artist in Ghana is also known as Kabute? That said, so something happened. Was it last weekend? Our favorite, our favorite artist, Uncle Ken. Our favorite artist, okay.
But you are saying your thing and now
How
you
are
are
you
calling me.
okay, our favorite artist, Shatta Wale.
So Uncle Ken is a caveat.
Had a big, wonderful, in fact, very well patronized, good show, concert. The Rain
Was it
concert.
very well patronized?
Uncle Ken, yes, it was. You don't think it was?
No, I've heard differently. So
What did you hear?
I heard it wasn't as well patronized as last year's, as the Rain concert.
Well, last year's was the biggest gathering.
That's why I asked
No,
the
but
question.
from what I mean,
but-
no,
but-
it was well patronized.
But it was well, yeah, it was well
was
patronized. Except last year, of course, was was the biggest we've seen. But well, so Shatta Wale was on stage to launch his Wonder Boy album, and it was a very good show. But something happened that has made headlines. Rapper Kwao Kese honored Shatta Wale's invitation to perform at the Wonder Boy album launch at the Fantasy Dome last Saturday, 19th October. Now, the artist was met with violence while on stage after some patrons at the Dome began throwing bottles at him. The rapper got hit in the head. Unfazed by the attack, Kwao Kese kept dancing on stage to the surprise of many. He went on to perform his 2019 hit song, Dondo, Dondo Mami Bo Dondo Papesa. That features Mr. Easy, Sconti, Medical, and Sarkodie. Kwao Kese is not the only artist to come face to face with attacks from fans on stage. Singer Felununa also had some sachets of pure water thrown at her at the Ebony Reigns Memorial Concert in April. She took to Hits FM in a face-to-face interview. Decided to walk off the stage. In an interview with Joy FM's Cosmopolitan Mix, she said that she regretted walking off the stage and that she should have talked to her fans about it. Now, I'd like us to listen to Kwao Kese, who was on the Cosmopolitan Mix earlier this week, and he talked about the incidents at the Fantasy Dome.
I was the surprise artist for the night. No matter how mad I am, I will not just walk into somebody's event like that.
Did he call you?
Yeah, they could. Not him, Shatta, but his management dealt with my management.
Okay.
I didn't want to go. Even on the night, I went there and I left there.
Oh, you did on that same Saturday? Why?
But my team was like, yo, let's forget about what people will say and all that. You know, we need law to push this agenda. So,
but before the call, though, were you guys okay?
I don't have any bad blood with anybody unless somebody steps on my toe. The deal was that I was to be on stage with Shatta performing Alo, which is our song. What I say? From what my management told me, they had arranged that my last song will be Alo, and that will be the song that will bring Shatta on stage. That's what me I wanted, because I will not come to a show and just come perform and go. I would like to see my brother on stage, you know, make people see, say, Charlie, we had no bad blood going on. But when that didn't happen, you know, I'm a professional. I have to still perform. So I just went on stage and killed it. But along the line, one or two people throwing bottles. As a showman, and I had to make the show, I had to spice the show up. You know, with the man on stage, so that didn't go well. What I said to me, and I think some of them took it personal. But this whole thing is a game.
Were you disappointed though? Because according to the plan, Shatta was supposed to.
I'm not disappointed.
Shatta was supposed to come.
I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed in the people who threw the things. I'm disappointed in the management because at least they should have come out by now to offer an apology. But to me, they think what happened was right. We're supposed.
So they haven't apologized.
Because they haven't come out.
This happened on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Nobody has reached out.
No.
Did they speak to you backstage though? Did Shatta speak to you backstage?
I didn't go there. I didn't see Shatta when I was backstage.
Even after the performance.
No. We just left right after the performance.
Oh.
Yeah, because our mission there was to perform. You know, after the performance, we left. Let me tell you, we had gone to perform at Taifa. So Nipa Bre, 2 shows in the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was tired. I didn't even want to see anybody.
All right. So that happened, and that was what he had to say about it on the Cosmopolitan Mix with Mama V earlier this week. But Shatta Wale has apologized. He apologized this afternoon. That was after this interview with Mama V. Anyway, so Sadiq, were you there at the Ring Wonder Boy album launch?
No, so I was there in the afternoon and then went there in the evening, but later I had to go back home after the show because I was not well.
What are your thoughts on this thing that happened?
For me, I think that, it's disgraceful for fans to have to go to this particular point. Kwao Kese was right when he says that, this is a game. I know all these acts sometimes are able to get involved in some publicity antics just to drive or make themselves relevant, But when it gets to a particular point where the fans begin to take it down on each other or these talents, it becomes, it's wrong, totally.
But
this is not
you are
something
an
the fans should do.
event organizer. You put artists on stage, and their safety is, to a large extent, in your hands. Do you worry when things like this happen?
Yes, of course. This has a tendency of marring the event. Imagine if this wasn't, say, a Shatters theft, where, let's say, most of the fans were Shatters fans, for instance, and it was a big event that had like a mix of fans. There could be reprisals, or some fans who were probably in the crowd who, for instance, maybe like Kwakese, could decide to, attack the fans that threw the bottles, and it could destroy the event altogether, And then I know how, Fantasy Dome itself went the extra mile. There were scanners and all of that, but those were the bottles that were sold in there that they threw. But this is wrong. This clearly was wrong, and it's wrong. I think that going forward, one of the things we should be able to do, I know the adequate security that was there was to be able to put some plainclothes security people in the crowd, so that when people behave in this particular manner, Charlie, it has a tendency of marring a whole different. We've seen the VGMA already. I don't need to belabor the point, but we are here. We're still here. It's wrong. This is not something that we should, because it has a tendency of not only poisoning the space, but it has a tendency of affecting event attendance. Fast forward, anybody, for instance, that would go to, people will be concerned if they have to attend the event, where some artists are on it, or where they have an expectation that certain fans will be there, and it could affect the whole ecosystem. It should not be seen as an isolated thing. That's why it's important that, and I have made the point privately and publicly to a lot of these artists that, look, I can understand how fanaticism or having fan base have become a new marketing tool for talent, for instance, to use that to drive top of mind and visibility. But when it gets to a particular point, because of the level of influence they have on these fans, I think when it gets to a particular point, they need to begin to, redirect those energies. Because when I see what I see on social media, it's vicious, and these people sometimes are, I wouldn't say innocent, but because of their fanaticism, and currently even there is no even a safe space to have certain conversations related to music. You get off right now, and the kind of threats and things that you would get, I'm seeing a number of people that do not even want to get in the space because of how to talk or to engage, any sort of engagement whatsoever, because of how the levels to which the fanatism is going. So it's gotten to that point where, as concerned as we are, because the way it's gotten to, it's not necessarily myself or just a few of us that identify and foresee a certain future that will be able to nip it in the bud. But it's the influence, because they are drawing the energies from the influence of the talent. So it has to get to that point where the talent will say, look, I enjoy your fanatism, I like your fanatism, I see where it's going for me, keep keeping up, but don't let it get to this particular point. So far we have yet to see a lot of that yet. I think so far it's one of the only people that have been able to speak to their fans and redirect them, I think, is Sak. I've seen regular tweets from him sort of trying to say, okay, you guys should be calm about ABC. But it has to get to that particular point, because this is not something that, it's 2019. We shouldn't be discussing these things, for instance. Now,
well, it's actually now starting.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying that it needs to, because, it's serious. It has the tendency of destroying things, and I'm glad that Shatta had come to apologize to him. I think he also needs to use that as an opportunity, aside the apology to Kwakese, for instance, to draw the fans' attention to how these acts could, mar the space and destroy something that we are. This is entertainment. This is not a fight.
Now, the love and fanaticism that you have, like you said, for the acts has become like it's like worship. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's like ride or die.
Yeah.
So when the fans come together like
the
that,
interesting thing I tell the fans consistently, I tell them that but you spend all these energies, but you won't be the same people streaming their music.
They don't stream their music
currently, consistently, and I've been saying this for a minute now. Across almost all the streaming platforms, the most listened to songs are not Ghanaian songs now. They are not. And when I go to the clubs and pubs and even in the streets, Uncle Ken, I do an exercise. Anybody listening to me should try that exercise today, and maybe next week they should share.
Okay.
If you find yourself in a particular space where they are playing music, if you are there for an hour, please try to count the number of songs that are played. Indicate to us how many songs are Ghanaian and how many songs are probably Nigerian.
But I feel that now that's better though. Now we hear more Ghanaian songs.
Now, do a top 10 Apple Music, do a top 10 Boomplay Music, do a top 10 Spotify Music. Out of 10, the most you can have, which are Ghanaian songs. These are songs that are being streamed from Ghana, are 3. Wow. The rest could be 10. There was a particular week where it was 10 over 10. So I keep drawing. So I keep telling the talents that look, these are the things that we should be focusing on.
Yes.
That all these energy should. They have all this time, all this data they spend online abusing people and taking people on. They should be rather be streaming it. They should rather be streaming it. They should rather be use that to drive a certain. That's what social impact is all about. That okay, when you became a huge superstar and had this massive influence and impact, which is good. Some of the things you're able to do with it is to be able to impact your space and the ecosystem that you operate in.
Wow. 10 over 10. Not in Teshi though. In Teshi, you have 9 over 10. Ghana.
It's a very serious.
Because one of the things back to back.
One of the things that I was asking some of the talents that how come we are the only people sort of worried and concerned about this and seeking to do something about it? I'm not hearing from you. That's what on radio friends. You heard me saying a number of times. Advocacy. Everything relative to getting industry better. Policy makers and all of these things. It looks like there are other people, let me use the word gatekeepers, that are only concerned about that. And you hardly get to even issues with copyright. Once in a while, you get them talking about it. Issues with how fanatism is becoming is getting out of, it's fine, it's good. The whole idea behind the Fanami of the Year, for instance, is to recognize that how fanatism has become strong marketing tool in ways talent are using it here than before. But how are we redirecting it? How is it impacting on streams? How is it impacting on shows and everything? Most of the talents will do their shows here, and at the end of the day, the revenues are not anything to go by. You do shows even with some of these talents. Most people do not actually even make music. These are realities of it that we hardly talk about.
You say they don't make music?
You don't make money.
Right.
Yeah. These are things that we don't have to actually talk about. How to.
You mean even the big stars?
Yes, put them together. Ask a number of the event people. Your major cost center will probably be talent, but you probably not make more from the same fund. Because maybe the tickets are expensive, or they are probably not interested in actually having to pay. They want a free service.
Come and stand outside.
So there are a number of things that I think that it's gotten to that point where they have managed to elicit and instigate that interest from fans. It needs to be redirected well.
Uncle Ken has been quiet and listening to you. Uncle Ken.
But what you want me to say?
Is this a new phenomenon?
Nah, what do you want me to say? In you people's balance. In you people's balance, let me walk up us.
Oh no, Uncle Ken. But in them days, do you have something like this happening? Is this a new thing? Are we just becoming more horrible people?
I find this whole thing very interesting. And I was listening to certain people this morning on a particular show, and they had a different school of thought. Some felt that this was something that was instigated by Kwao himself.
Is that so?
That's the thinking of certain people, so that he could trend some more.
Yes.
Sadiq, you agree?
It's possible. That's why he said, when he did his interview, Kwao said that this is a game. When he says this is a game, obviously it's honored, but when you watch, say, the videos, obviously Kwao, knowing the kind of back and forth he had with, say, the fans, or Shatta Wale within the last few years, obviously would expect that when he goes to that particular thing, he will not be welcomed well. So yes, it could be possible that he went there knowing fully well that he's already pissed them off and he'll be expecting certain things.
But knowing Kwakesi, do you think this is something we should expect?
Kwakesi is a king of stunts, public stunts. In fact,
so?
Before Shatta Wale, the biggest stunt guy was Kwakesi.
I see. well, speaking of stunts and the possibility of intentional, what do you call it, trending, just so he can trend, he has a song coming out.
So I hear.
And the title is Bottles. Here's a teaser. Let's take a listen.
Bodambe bottle. Yeji ye ni ayempe intokwa. Bodambe bottle. Me say ye stage water to boba. Bodambe bottle. Esenfu eni kwa kese. Bodambe bottle. Ye ban no do yamba intokwa. Bodambe bottle. Ye say ye stage water to wa. Bodambe bottle. Ye say ye stage water to wa. Bodambe bottle. Bodambe bottle.
But he not tweeted
that.
So the conspiracy theorists could be right.
That would be coming from people that knew. That would be coming from people that knew Kwakesi. Like I said, before the re-emergence of Shatta Wale again on the scene, the biggest stunt guy. Do you remember the guy that put all the awards together in the wheelbarrow to sell it at 2 cents? And the next year he was back on the awards. It was Kwakesi.
Yes. That's true. So you think this could just be a stunt?
Well,
but then if it was a stunt, it could have gone wrong. Because if he had fans in the house...
People claim there were only 4 bottles thrown on that stage.
And he was hit in the head.
And then he threw one back at them.
He threw one back.
I mean, but that was a bit irresponsible. I mean, knowing that one man standing on stage in the crowd throwing back at them.
Was there any water in the bottles?
No,
we don't know the content of the bottle.
What kind of bottles were thrown?
Plastic empty bottles.
Plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles.
Plastic empty bottles.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Sadiq, you've always been saying it's showbiz, man. It's showbiz. Let them do it and create the buzz.
The buzz, the hype.
So this was a way of creating some buzz for himself.
Well, Edem spoke about this. Edem, go get him, Volta region.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he spoke on this matter. And he had something rather interesting to say. This is a quote from him. He said, "I will spot one of the guys in the crowd who threw the bottle at me.
I heard him.
And smash the head of that person back with that bottle. I'll make sure I identify one of those who threw the bottle at me and slap that person."
That's a smart decision.
If Shatta Wale allowed Kwakesi to perform at his album launch, then it should tell you that they are not at war with each other, as the fans may perceive.
Yeah.
It means they don't have a problem with each other. So why should you, the supposed fans, be angry? After smashing the person, then I'll go back and perform. I won't abandon the stage performance. As a professional artist, you must have a thick skin and always be prepared for instances.
This is something that Burna Boy can do.
No, but that would have been irresponsible on his part.
Yeah, it would be irresponsible. That's a smart decision to take. I mean,
that's not a smart
decision.
Maybe he was only kidding.
Yes, I like to think that he was just.
Yes, I'm sure he was just kidding playing. Because Kwakesi said something instrumental there. He said that it was an arrangement between the management and not the artists themselves.
Yeah. But the management is the artist.
Are you sure?
No, obviously, I mean, the management can enter some of these agreements with the artists.
Because, like he said, the
if
management...
is acting as your agent.
Oh, hold on. He also went further to say that he was supposed to perform with Shatta at the end.
The Alo?
Yes, the Alo song, which never happened.
Yeah.
So if you say to me that the management is the artist and this didn't happen, why didn't it happen?
I mean, no, but there were a number of things that changed.
When I say that, I mean like in negotiations, in arrangements and stuff.
No,
like that.
it could be technical, it could be the events. Yes, but I'm sure that there were a number of things. Okay, so I was with Leslie and some of the guys. There are a number of things that changed Shatta's performance lineup, for instance.
Okay.
You know what? Shatta was supposed to come. The reason why the stage is that long.
Were you there?
No, I was there when they're setting up at Fantasy Dome. I was there on Friday. I was there on Thursday.
You know he owns Fantasy Dome, right?
No.
I know why I asked
Leslie
him
owns
that
it. I beg you. So, so I was there even on Saturday, even before I came to what's the name? Showbiz A to Z. And right after Showbiz A to Z, I went back to the Fantasy Dome before, I fell ill and went back home. But I mean, he was supposed to come from the ground. So there was something that was supposed to elevate him from the ground up. That's why the stage is, one of the reasons why the stage is that high, 7 feet. It's just so he would come from the ground up onto the stage, but there was a technical hitch as well. So I'm sure all these things may have changed the plan, but not necessarily because there was an issue between maybe say Shatta and Kwakese. But I'm glad that Shatta has apologized to him, and I realized that Kwakese also has taken that lightly. I think he tweeted 2 days ago that this is all love, this is all trying to water down the situations and everything. That I think it's good, so that it will send signals to the fans that it's not the way they probably see it, but it's all for the game.
Anyway, let me read some messages coming in. 0244340437 is the number to reach me on. All right, Obed from New Legon says, Sarkodie is known as Kabute. Oh, okay. I see. You are saying it. Oh.
So Sarkodie is also your husband.
Is known as Kabute. Okay, I see. Mami Esimen says, now what about the Bwe Kwai Mami by Kwabna Kwabna song? Is it not a gospel song? Bwe Kwai Mami?
Yeah, it's gospel.
Yeah,
Uncle
Ken, look at your face.
No, he's reading it. He's trying to read it.
Oh, okay, you're reading. Well, Bwe Kwai Mami by Kwabna.
Where's Obeti?
All right. Now there's a certain dancehall artist also known as Alidu. Ask your listeners. So, who's Alidu? Sadiq, sounds like your brother. Sadiq, why are you laughing so loudly?
He knows.
You know something we don't know. Who's Alidu?
I beg. I can't talk about these things before I'm killed.
Why? Who's Alidu?
This is
you just whisper to the outside.
Leave it for the fans to go against each other.
But why did they call him Alidu though? Okay,
so the point is that, Shatta, all his fans call Sarkodie Kabute. Okay. I think there's a song where he called him Kabute inside. Okay. And Sarkodie's fans call Shatta Wale Alidu.
Really?
So there's a story on Alidu and his
No, you wanted to draw my attention to something while I was reading.
Oh, I don't remember. But I will remember and I'll tell you. All right, so now I'm Giorgio into my Sarkodie. All right, hello, good evening. Now, even Snoop Dogg won award for Best Gospel Song of the Year at the recently held BET Hip Hop Awards. So, yeah. All right. All right, there's the BET Awards itself, not just the Hip Hop Awards. All right. Chronicle says Kabute is Sarkodie. All right. Okay. Please play me this tune. It's an Afro pop dancehall song. Artist Patriot and Coley from Ghana. Title is Sell Out. Okay. Now Shoko and Uncle Ken, what is gospel? It's good news. In the Old Testament, the prophets and the priests preached what was it? Gospel. No gospel is about the Lord Jesus Christ. It is about his life, his work, his death and resurrection. Now the fact that God's name is being mentioned, his deliverance of people, and all that are to inspire and remind believers and unbelievers alike. For example, CCTV is enjoyed by all. Christos sum pona yesum are all to inspire and remind us of our accountability, that we do not own ourselves and we are to be responsible for our stewardship and the privilege to live. And that's from me, Kwesi Ama, explaining what gospel is.
So Obiato is a gospel song.
Okay.
That's a Kwame Region song.
Okay. Obiato. So yeah, gospel. Okay. More gospel songs
somebody's coming for me right now.
Sadiq is one of the biggest proponents of beef is good for the industry. I hope he sees the repercussions of such positioning. The artists may see it as just showbiz, but Ghana we day, fans won't get it. Especially when you call themselves, they call themselves militants. And that's from
I still stand by the fact that beef is good, but I mean.
You said beef is good.
I still stand by the fact that both the beef and the antics,
the gatekeepers,
is good. I mean, I
when
just don't
the beef
agree.
Is over, you need to tell your fans that the beef is over. Exactly. Because the fans don't see that the beef is over. That's why they react this way.
Yes. And then obviously getting them to understand that shouldn't get to
All right.
violence.
Good evening. Now, don't worry about these artists and what happens on stage. They have a way of selling themselves as the Western world. Okay, all right. So that's the way of selling themselves. AKA beef is good. But you know beef takes long to digest compared to fish. All right. More messages coming in. The development as attacking Kwakese as Shatter's album launch is bad and must be condemned. Such things are inimical to the growth of the attendance to shows, etc., as Sadiq says. But only the stunt bit. Kwao is noted for taking good advantage of bad situations as he finds himself in. When he was arrested and jailed in Kumasi, he did 2 tracks out of the prison experience. Koti Abeg and Yakubu.
Yeah,
that's a king. So are you saying that his arrest was also a stunt?
No, he was arrested good, but he's saying that so really,
that's what this person said.
Takes
but you are saying that he's the stunt king.
No, Kwakese has always been stunt person. He's always pulled stunts
but
here
bad
and
things
there.
happen to him too.
Yeah, of course.
Not all that. It's not always a stunt.
But with somebody with such a
him.
stunt mind will go that man.
You suspect him, eh? All right. Okay. Thank you for your messages. More coming in. I'll read them as and when I can. Now let me read some of my LPMs, and then we'll wrap up our discussion. The Institute of Directors Ghana presents the Corporate Governance Excellence Awards Conference and Exhibition 2019. The activities for the conference, dubbed Enhancing and Sustaining the Culture of Good Corporate Governance and Leadership. The keynote speaker is Professor Mervyn King, South Africa. The time is 8:30 a.m. and the venue is Kempinski Hotel. The date is 22nd of November 2019. Exhibitions open to all organizations in Ghana. Registration for the conference and exhibition closes on the 8th of November 2019. IODGH Corporate Governance Excellence Awards Dinner. The special guest of honor will be His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Kempinski Hotel on the 22nd of November. You can visit www.iodghana.org to download or complete a questionnaire online. Nominations and participation closes on the 4th of October, so it's closed. There would be a special strategic one-on-one session with Professor Mervyn King on the 23rd of November at Kempinski for interested board chairs, board members, CEOs, and senior management. For sponsorship, registration and conference for the conference exhibition and enquiries or anything you'd like to know, please call us or WhatsApp us on 024 2545616 or 055 8395204. Faith or Ikuya will help you. You can email us to awards@iodghana.org. Collaborators are ACGN, CIAMC, and IFC. Media partners, of course, the Multimedia Group. This October, DSTV Day for you. Join us every week as we follow the exploits of our Ghanaian boys in the soccer leagues as they make us proud. Stars like Kevin Prince Boateng, Wakaso, Dede, Partey, Andrew, Ayew, and Kojo Asamoah, just to name a few. So, buy a DSTV Zapper at only 199 Ghana cedis, and you also get 1 month access subscription, valid for a limited period only. You can also you can also watch all the UEFA Euro games on our French add-on package. We call it the French Plus for only 175 Ghana cedis a month. Let October with DSTV be awesome. Feel every moment. And yes, if you're the hottest DJ, there's something for you. The hottest DJ, season 5 is here. Catch us live on Hot Picks on Joy Prime on Hits 103.9 FM afternoon definition as we unveil all the skillful DJs who are ready to battle it out for supremacy to hold the title of this year's hottest DJ. It's on the 22nd of October, it's a Tuesday, at exactly 1:30 p.m. It's the DJ's show. You don't want to miss it. The hottest DJ is proudly sponsored by Citroless Mixture. Looks slim, smart for the future. Unique in Supa. Uniquely made for you. Powerhouse deodorant, scent of a boss. VIP magnetic perfumes. Hits FM hottest DJ, and earthing unique talent. Now, if you see something suspicious in your community, please say something. Call the police toll-free number 18555. If you see something, say something. Joy FM invites you, or Joy Prime invites you to the 4th edition of the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair at the Junction Mall, Nungwa Barrier, just behind my house, from the 31st of October to the 3rd of November, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. each day. The theme is Brand Ghana for Global Export. So come witness Ghanaian originality, authenticity, and rich cultural display of Ghanaian inventions, locally made clothes, shoes, bags, jewelry, Ghanaian music, and so much more. Don't miss out on our exciting lineup for the hottest DJ party on Friday, the 1st of November, the fashion, comedy, and music night on Saturday, 2nd of November, and a cooking competition between your favorite personalities and celebrities on Sunday, the 3rd of November. This year's Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair is packed with lots of activities and many other surprises starting Thursday, 31st October to Sunday, 3rd of November from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. each day. For further inquiries and information, call us on 055-630-4521 or 0540-106466. This event is proudly brought to you by Joy Prime, empowered by Hits 103.9 FM. Sponsored by EcoBank, GTP, Virgin Pot Cosmetics, Avnash, Inkulenu, Adansi Travels, Royal Pepper Taste. Royal Pepper Paste. Media partners are Joy FM, Adum FM, Asempa FM, Inshira FM, and Love FM. The time now is 6 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm going to take your final comments, Uncle Ken and Sadiq, and then we'll hand over to Iggy. All right. Final comments on Kwakwe's issue, the so-called conspiracy theories
that he pulled a stunt.
That he pulled a stunt.
Well, it's possible that he pulled a stunt, but like I said, particularly to the fans, know and understand that some of these things are antics to generate your fanship and your continued support. Don't get into a point where it will begin to become criminal. If anything, channel a lot of these energies on stream the music rather than stay online with your data insulting and attacking people. Go and stream the songs. Go and play their songs on YouTube and all of that. Put money directly in the pocket of the artists that you support. Pay to attend their shows. That's how to continue to support the talents.
Thank you, Sadiq.
Good advice from Sadiq.
Yes.
And I hope the musicians take the advice in good faith.
Yeah.
Because I think next time it could be something else other than a plastic bottle.
Yep, it could be worse.
And people could get hurt.
Thank you so much, Uncle Ken. Thank you so much, Sadiq. We've had a great show. I've enjoyed all our conversations. Thank you, all of you who called and texted. Why are you pointing at Uncle Ken's forehead?
I'm going to investigate.
You're going to investigate Uncle Ken's forehead?
Uncle Ken's forehead.
We belong to the same tribe.
I'm sure you have a new pan in your name somewhere.
Anyway, we're back next week at exactly 2 p.m. Up next is the news at 6 p.m. My name is Na Ashako. This show is produced by Dela Glanu and Philip Nine. Special thanks to DJ Wobeti for all the great music. And Selwyn has been the man on the social media desk. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.